Welcome to Schools Not Out, your daily classroom for CSEC and CAPE students. You can watch this lesson real time on Television Jamaica's YouTube channel or on One Spot Media. We're also on Music 99 and GoJamaica.com. If you have questions on today's subject, you can send them into Television Jamaica's Facebook page and Instagram at television_Jamaica. Your lessons is on CAPE Sociology, CAPE SBA, where we'll be focusing starting today on sampling and right through to bibliography. I am Orville Beckford. Welcome. I know you're at home and you're watching the television, so welcome. Feel comfortable. Well, we start back today. The last time you remember when we were dealing with sampling. So we're dealing with the SBA. We said sampling is extremely important as far as your SBA is concerned. Why? You can't use the entire population. So if you're doing a project in the school, you perhaps have 3,000 students in the school or about 1,500. You really can't use everyone. So you need a sample. So how you select that sample is important. We started last time by going through the different type of sampling. We started with the convenience sampling, where the researcher wants volunteers to participate, to come forward and identify themselves. Remember, we went to the COVID-19, so some people came on a plane, 5,000 of them, on different airplanes. We want to know, could you get in touch with the ministry? So this is really a convenience sampling. We ask them to identify themselves. We move on to snowball sampling. I explain as well that with the COVID-19, in terms of, when you're talking about the tracer study, so they know that John came off the plane. John was carried by a taximan with 4 other people, so that's 5 people. They're tracing it. Then those 5 people got in touch with another 20 people, so that's 25 people. Those 25 people got in touch. So this is how we trace it. So this is what you call a snowball sampling. Like you're pushing a snowball up the hill, and so it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then you also have purposive sampling. This is where participants or cases will will best contribute. So you pick the people because you know that they'll best contribute to the type of output that you want. Random sampling, of course, this is a very popular sampling. This is where a subset of individuals are chosen randomly and entirely by chance, with each individual having the same probability of being chosen. Each element has a known 0 probability of being chosen. So we had gone through that the last time. We did systematic sampling as well, where here you are picking from a group of people and you're saying, okay, I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Every 5th person, that becomes what we call the KTH, or the end person. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we pick every 5th person. You could have picked every 10th person, every 8th person, depend on the type of sampling that you want. Then we have the stratified random sampling. This is the one most of you will use in your SBA. This is the most popular one, and we'll go through it so you can understand it. This is where we stopped the last time, so you know how you pick a stratified random sampling. So it said that it involved the division of the research population into smaller subgroups known as strata. So we go back to the example we had of the school, where we're looking at student family arrangement and their academic performance. So at the school we have different grades. We have grade 7, grade 8, grade 9, 10, right up 11, 12, 13. These will be called strata. So in the different grades now we have male and female. So we may also want to look at how males perform to how the females perform. In the different grades as well, we have science and we have art. For some school there's a definite demarcation. So here is where you can then find how many art students that are in the upper school that are in grade 11, in grade 13. So we use a stratified random sampling. That one best represents most of what you will do in terms of having different strata, because seldom it's just one set of people. Even if it's just one set of people, then there's a male or female. Is it grade 10, grade 11, whatever it is. So we have different strata. So that one is very important. So a random sample is taken from each stratum. And so that is where we are at. Then we have cluster sampling. Chances are most of you will not go into that. Cluster sampling generally involve geographic large clusters, like when we're doing polling for for political parties. We want to know the people who live in St. Catherine, but we are in St. Catherine. St. Catherine is the town, St. Catherine up in the hills. Do we use places like Point Hill, Bella's Gate, those places? Or are we concentrating on Spanish Town, Portmore? We're in St. Catherine. So we use a cluster. So it's similar to stratified random sampling that's accomplished by dividing the population into groups, usually geographically. So that way it's easier for us to find and give different characteristics to different clusters. Then we come now to data collection. It always be a very important part of your research. Why? If you collect the data badly, your research is going to not turn out to be a good academic research. So it's very important, because if you collect the data and people say, but how you collect the data? How did you arrive at that for a data collection process? You will have to explain, because it's very important in terms of the quality of your data. What quality does your data have in terms of how it is collected? So we have different ways of data collection. Interviews. Everybody knows that you watch TVJ every morning between Simone and Neville and Delia. They're always interviewing somebody. And so you get tremendous amount of information from interview. So you ask people questions, they respond. You sometimes lead them down a path so you can get more information out of them. And so it's very important. We also have questionnaires and surveys. Questionnaires are a type of survey. Now, in terms of questionnaire, very important that you understand. One, nobody likes a long questionnaire. So you're given a questionnaire and the questionnaire have 40 questions. That's kind of too much. In the States, sometimes they will pay you to answer questionnaires. So then they can afford to give you 40, 50 questions on the questionnaire. Because when you finish, you get $5 US. I remember doing a couple of them for Disney. Now, a questionnaire really should be 18 to 20 maximum in terms of questions. But it's also very important the type of questions. You cannot ask the respondent a question that is very difficult to answer. So do you drink or smoke? Oh, well, I do both of them, so which one I answer? Or I do one and don't do the next one, so which one I answer then? Or are you in sixth form or fifth form? All right, I am in one of them, so which one I answer, yes or no? Do I tick yes, fifth form, but me in a sixth form? So which one do I pick? And so it's very important that your questionnaire items are clear as to what you want. The respondent shouldn't be in a state of quandary as to about exactly what you're asking. And so we also said that you should have as many close-ended questions to try to avoid open-ended questions. What do I mean by close-ended questions? Are you in fifth form? I mean, are you a member of the fifth form? Yes. That's just close, yes. Are you a member of the sixth form? Yes. What is your age? Last birthday? 18. Yes. But if I ask you, how do you feel about the academic performance of the students in your class, given that you know what their academic performances are? That kind of open-ended, because we will then, if each person gives 10 different responses, we then will have to deal with those 10 different responses in terms of when we're analyzing the data. So you want to avoid too many open-ended questions, because then you have a whole lot of assessment to do, a whole lot of data analysis and so on. So it's very important that you limit your questionnaire items to as many close-ended questions as possible. You avoid also negatives, because our double negatives, because it put people in a quandary. Are you sure you're not going to, like seriously? You just ask me, have you ever, whatever, than if I'm sure that I'm not going to. You also don't ask people questions that they are not in a position to answer. So for example, you're asking a student, can you tell me if you think your teacher is, in her mind, is using the best method to teach you physics? Like seriously? And not in her mind. So how do I know her mind? You can't ask me about the teacher. The teacher is here. Ask the teacher. you go and you questionnaire the teacher. You can't ask me about somebody else. And this is what we use also in the courthouse, in the courtrooms of this country. So we are saying to you that you were a witness to the robbery. What color shirt did Mr. Brown, who they claim did the robbery, have on? You can't say, ask the guy who was there and him same thing to the brown shirt. No, we go ask the guy then, we don't need to ask you. So you ask the people, only question the respondent that they are fit and able to respond to. So which is why we don't carry hearsay to court. Likewise, they don't carry hearsay in your questionnaire. You ask just a direct question. Were you there? What did you see? Was the person in a blue shirt? Yes. No, you don't even ask blue shirt. What color shirt did the person have on at the time? Because you don't want to even put blue shirt in the mind of the person. So likewise for your questionnaire should be clear, distinct about what you're asking. So observation. Now observation should be quite clear, but it is not as clear as we would think. We also have participant observation, where you become part of the group in order to observe. And that comes with its myriad of issues, which I'll deal with. So here you are now, you're observing. You can observe, write down, you can observe, make note, you can observe, scribble, and so on. But you also want to be sure that what you're observing is actually what you're supposed to see. And so you would indicate before you even start observing what are some of the things that you're looking for, so when you see them you can make a note. You have participant observation. Here you become part of the group in order to deeper or better observe. But of course you run the risk of you go to become part of the group. Like I take students from the university to Weddy. So they're supposed to go and be participant observer, so them dancing and them observing. Most of the time when we get back to university, a few of them say, but sir, what was I supposed to observe? Because they were into the dance hall, they were into the different type of dances, they were into who and who was there flexing, which DJ came, but they were supposed to be observing and making note, as I said, perhaps on their phone or mentally, but they got caught up in the observation. They got caught up in being part of the group. So you have to be very, very careful with participant observation, because you can get carried away and miss the purpose for which you are there. So we have documents and records. These are, of course, secondary items. You can ask the school for, can I see the passes at CSEC for the last 3 years. These are documents, and these are, of course, public documents and public records. Focus groups, here we take a set of people. It can be small. Generally, the smaller you are, the more in-depth you can go with them, but it depends on the population you're picking the focus group from. Because if it's a large population, you may want to have a relatively large focus group, because you want to ensure that you have a representative focus group representing the population from which you took them. So it's very important that you ensure that if we have about 10 or 15 different kind of people or issues to deal with, that you pick enough people to represent each of them if you want a good focus group. What happens within the focus group? You want information about the group itself. You want information, detailed information about the group itself. So therefore you pick some people who can answer questions, who can explain, who can represent the group. And so you have what we call a focus group. And so these focus groups become very important, especially for qualitative analysis. They become very important. You can get tremendous amount of information on them. So you could have a focus group of students who have left the school, so you're asking them about their family arrangement and how they did at CSEC and Cape. And so you can use many different focus groups. So we have oral history. In Jamaica, Digital and Cable Wireless does very well because we talk. We are an oral, we're full of oral tradition. Unfortunately, we don't keep much oral history. We don't write down what our grandmother used to say about this or about that. We're not very good at oral history, but we have a very good oral tradition. We talk, and we like to talk, and we love to talk, and we talk even when we mustn't talk, and we talk even when others are talking and not supposed to be talking, and we just continue talking, because we love talking. But you might want to find out now in terms of go back on the oral tradition. So for example, you may want to ask a teacher who has been in the school for a long time about the connection between family tradition and academic performance. This is a teacher who has been in the school for 24 years. I've been in the school for that long. So that person would have a tremendous amount of oral history, tremendous amount of what we call organizational history about the school, about the performance of students, about people at grade 7, grade 8, grade 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and so on. That person would have tremendous amount of oral history and organizational history about the school. So therefore, you would draw on that person's oral history in terms of to explain what you're doing and to get an understanding, a better understanding of what the history like of those things that you're looking at in the school, those things that you're studying. All right, move on to section 3. Here we're looking at data, and we said data are comprehensive, clear and accurate, and informed and appropriate and relevant to the research problem. Now, there's no point in collecting the data, but not presenting the data. I've seen people with SBA, I'm saying, so where's the presentation of the data? No, you collected the data, but I need to see how is that data presented. So we have narrative, tables, graphs, charts, and so on. I'll show you examples of each of them. Here, hope you can see the table. We have grades 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. English passes, 75%, 68% for grade 8, right through. Maths passes, social studies, IT passes. So I'm presenting it now in the form of a table where I'm showing all the passes in these key subjects for grade 7, grade 8, grade 9, grade 10, grade 11. So you can see them 78, 75, in terms of English passes, in terms of maths passes, 68, 69, 70, 71, 74 for all the grades going down. Social studies, grade 7, 89, grade 8, 90, grade 9, 88, grade 10, 91%, grade 11, 98%, and similar for IT passes. So you are representing the data in a table that one can clearly see, one can quickly pick up trends and understand. And you also use what we call a pie chart. A pie chart is a circle with different pies, or what we call slices. So here you might want to say, I'm showing the percentage of students that are from nuclear family and the others that are not from nuclear families. So you use a pie chart. So we go for the narrative. Now I use the narrative from the table that was just shown. So it said that social studies shows the highest and most consistent level of passes at, we just use a school, Nanny High. What explanation can you offer from your research data? So we go back to see if they are correct. Social studies show the highest and most consistent level of passes. So we can go back to check. So we notice that for social studies, 89, the highest among grade 7, 90, still the highest among grade 8, 88, still the highest among grade 9, 91, still the highest among grade 10, and 98%, still the highest among grade 11. So when we say that you are to present the narrative, you have to give an explanation. Merely just showing the table alone and say, okay, this is the table, and then there's no narrative. What is the table telling me? What am I supposed to gather from the table? What trend am I supposed to pick up from the table? What information can I glean from the table? You have to give a narrative. You have to give an explanation. The next one we said, a student at Nanny High School progressed from grade 7 to 11. Their mathematics grades also improve. Is this due to teaching the curriculum or classroom teaching and management by the teacher. Because we're asking you that, give an explanation. Explain why this is the trend you are seeing. Is it that the better curriculum? Is it that the teachers get better as you go from one grade to the next? Teachers have better classroom management? Is it that they use the more experienced and better teachers to teach grade 9, 10, 11 so that we can get better results? And so we go back to look. So we are saying that as we move, the math grade improve from, so we can look if it did. So this is math. So 68% at grade 7, the average. Grade 8, 69. Grade 9, 70. Grade 10, 71. Grade 11, 74. So we are correct in saying that as you progress from grade 7 right up through to grade 11, the math passes, the average for the grade increases. So you can see that. Clear? Next one, we said information technology grades are, the grades have remained constant, have remained constant, consistently high as students move from one grade level to the next. Can this be attributed to the new and adequate amount of computers now available in the school? Because sometimes, of course, the school will change out the computers and they'll get more. They used to have 40, 50, now them have 110. You will see an increase in passes at the IT level. And so you want to know, is this attributed to it? So information grades have remained consistently high as students move from one grade level to the next. So we can check again to see if we are correct in terms of the narrative. So we look at IT, 82, 82, 84, 88, 93. And so we realize that there is an increase in IT grades. So there could be a number of factors. Of course, the current generation of students, you are very IT focused. You grow up with a cell phone, you grow up with the technology, and so IT tend to do very well because you are the technological generation. So that could be a reason. Could be also too because you have very good IT teachers, excellent IT teachers in the schools, or it could be that the school also is adequately fitted with the amount of computers needed for students to learn, and students can go onto them after school because there are computers available. When you're doing your SBA, you do have a difficulty finding a computer because the school has enough computers. And so it could be a number of reasons. So that's what I mean by narrative. You must give an explanation. And sometimes the narrative could say, you could also say, when we compare English and maths passes, here at grade 7, the difference between them is 8%. The difference between maths and English at grade 8 is just 1%, 68%, 69%. The difference between, and so basically the same, 9 almost the same, 72. But when it comes to grade 10, English passes 77%, maths passes 71%, we say a major difference. So these are the things that will include, that you would include in your narrative, in your explanation. When you're writing up the SBA, these are the things that you would have to include. So we finish with the narrative. Of course, these are other things that we use to show our data. We use bar chart. So we could be looking on say maths, English, social studies for different grades, for grade 7, grade 8, grade 9, grade 10. And we can compare them on a bar chart. It's easy to present, easy to clear to see and to understand. We also can use graphs. This is a graph that is what we call a directly proportional graph. As one increases, the next one increases. I definitely put in this last one to explain. You keep hearing them talking about whether the curve in the United States, you're listening, whether they'll flatten the curve. What that means is that, so there's a spike. So for example, in New York City, with COVID-19, there was a spike in the amount of people having COVID-19 symptoms. Then there's also a spike in the amount of people that were dying, unfortunately. They keep saying they're looking for when there is a flattening out of the curve. So the curve starts, but of course it starts to flatten. This is what the curve looks like when they say that they're hoping that eventually the curve will flatten. Because if not, then the curve will keep climbing, climbing, climbing. So, so you use graph to represent trends. You want to show trends that's happening with respect to your data, and so you use the graph. And you will see that they do this almost daily now with COVID-19. So you could also look at our own case in Jamaica with respect to the trend of COVID-19. Did the graph make a sharp turn? Why did the graph make a sharp turn? What did we move from? What number of people infected to what number of persons when the graph went on that sharp curve? Can we explain? These are issues that you can easily explain. So analysis of the data. So here now we look at, so we use those type of analysis that you can see the graph, the bar chart, the pie charts and so on. So we want to look now a little more deeply. An explanation of the results that were obtained, an identification of trends, patterns and anomalies. Analysis are comprehensive, clear and relevant to the issues, so you must do that. So we use quantitative data analysis, two main types. We have descriptive analysis used to describe the basic features of the data in a research, and we also have inferential statistics. So it might sound difficult, but it's not difficult. Because at the sixth form level, we expect that you'd know basic things like mean, variance, and modes, and so on. We expect that at sixth form. You are presenting the data. You'd want to explain to us that the mean average for the class was so much, the mean average for the grade was so much. That is not so difficult. So one of the things that we use is frequency. Everybody knows frequency, you count. So for example, how many people in grade 5 got 100? You count 1, 2, 1, 2. How many people in grade that got that? 1, 2. You count. So it's easy to get a frequency chart. So 2 for 4, 2 for 5, 4 for 6, 5 for 7. It's very easy to get a frequency chart. It's not a difficult thing. Then we have median, of course. Median means the kind of the middle mark, 1, 2, 1, 3, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. So the median is 6. The mean again, the average, you do that quite easily. So we have 5, 3, 10. So 5, 3, 10 give us 18. So we divide by the amount, 1, 2, 3, and so we get 6. So we have the mean being 6. So it's easy. These are things we expect you to use in your SBA. These are things we expect to use as part of your analysis to explain why we are seeing these data and what does the trend in these data represent. Why the frequency, is the frequency expected, or is there some anomaly about the frequency of occurrence of certain things within the data? The next one we use null hypothesis. So here, in terms of explaining, an hypothesis is like an educated guess, like you are saying. So the null hypothesis, the defendant is innocent. And so, and the alternative hypothesis, we are saying the defendant is guilty. So we collect the data, judge the evidence, could these data plausibly have happened by chance if the null hypothesis were true. So if the person is innocent, then of course we have to reject, we have to fail to reject O, because we have to accept HO. Defendant is innocent. If it's the other way around, then we have to reject it. So we have to have that burden of proof. So we use hypothesis to also explain. Finding and discussion as we wrap up this section, very important. Again, your discussion will contain narratives, a lot of narratives explaining all the trends and the data that you see and so on and so forth. So it is very important. We will wrap up with this section when we are back, and then just wrap up the overall SBA. So school's not out, continues after the break. Stay with us. I'm hoping that you're learning as you go along, and make sure to write your questions and send them into TVJ. Stay with us. Don't go too far.
COVID-19 tip. Protect yourself and others from getting sick by washing your hands after coughing or sneezing, when caring for the sick, before, during, and after you prepare food, before eating, after toilet use, when hands are visibly dirty, and after handling animals or animal waste.
Reduce your risk of viral illnesses like the flu and coronavirus. Wash your hands frequently with soap and water. Cover your nose and mouth when coughing with a tissue and dispose of it. Avoid close contact with anyone with a cold or flu-like symptoms. If you become ill, please visit your doctor or the nearest health center and share your travel history. The flu and coronavirus can kill. Let's protect each other. A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
The Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, along with TVJ, present Schools Not Out, CSEC and CAPE lessons live Mondays to Fridays from 9 a.m. to 12 noon, with weekly Schools Not Out tutorial sessions on Saturdays from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Schools Not Out, live CSEC and CAPE lessons here on TVJ.
COVID-19 tip. Protect yourself and others from getting sick by washing your hands after coughing or sneezing, when caring for the sick, before, during, and after you prepare food, before eating, after toilet use, when hands are visibly dirty, and after handling animals or animal waste.
Reduce your risk of viral illnesses like the flu and coronavirus. Wash your hands frequently with soap and water. Cover your nose and mouth when coughing with a tissue and dispose of it. Avoid close contact with anyone with a cold or flu-like symptoms. If you become ill, please visit your doctor or the nearest health center and share your travel history. The flu and coronavirus can kill. Let's protect each other. A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Welcome back to Schools Not Out, where we are discussing CAPE Sociology, the SBA. We're focusing on the different sections of the SBA, and we will continue. Glad to have you back. It was very good of you to return, and we really appreciate you staying with us and learning as you go along. Now, some people had sent in to me during the break between the last Monday and now for me to explain to them a couple issues. So what I'm going to do now, before I complete, I'm just going to go back to a part of the SBA, a part of the research to explain to you. Now, qualitative study, most of you will end up doing a quantitative study. So I almost can guess that about 80% of you will do quantitative study in terms of where we collect the data, analyze the data, and we present inferential statistics or so on. But of course, one or two of you might end up doing qualitative analysis. Now, qualitative analysis is different from quantitative analysis, and qualitative analysis draws you in because it's hard for you to be qualitatively looking at something that you don't know about. You must have some kind of information about it for you to do qualitative analysis. So, for example, you're looking at, say, depression among the different grades. So it's kind of sociology, psychology among the different grades. You must have an idea what depression is. You must have an idea what causes depression. You must have an idea in terms of what do you expect students to display for you to say that they are that they are depressed or not depressed. We have no machine that you can hold up and say, okay, let me check. You are 1 depressed. No, you're 5 depressed. Oh, no, this one is 20 depressed. We have no such machine. So you must have an idea what causes depression. So in terms of what causes depression, you are going to put together a number of questions that you'll ask. Do you find yourself sleeping regularly? Yes, but I sleep regularly, but I'm not depressed. Okay. Do you find yourself crying and sometimes not knowing what you're crying for? Yes. Do you find yourself binge eating? when you don't normally binge eat? Do you find yourself not eating? So you must have an idea, what are these issues that causes depression? So this is what we call the qualitative analysis. You must have an idea what you're talking about. So here we said research tradition, sampling approach and description of studies. Setting and context, you must know the setting and context, because if I'm looking at depression, in what setting? In a high school, children transitioning from 5th form to 6th form, from grade 11 to grade 12 and 13. What are some of the issues you think might have led to depression? Because you must have an idea what you are looking for. And which is why we said that qualitative analysis draws in much more than quantitative. Quantitative, you can observe, make a note, tick off, people fill out questionnaire, you analyze them, you finish. Qualitative analysis is much, much more than that. So we have different types of qualitative analysis, qualitative studies. So we have ethnography, understanding the goals, culture, themes, and challenges that emerge in the research. Very important. And you see how many things, the goals. So what do I want to get? I want to see the connection between family tradition, the type of family you have, and academic performance. So that's the ultimate goal. What is there a culture in it? Yes, there is a culture. A particular family form will have such challenges. A single parent family will have certain challenges, but in fact, everybody has, every one of us has challenges. But of course, a single parent family, just one person working, 3 children to go to school, there are going to be financial challenges. Themes that you're looking for, so the different family form, we have nuclear family, we have single parent family, we have extended family, extended that with grandparents, extended with an aunt, and each of them will present their own list of challenges. So which is why your qualitative study must include an ethnography. That is, you must look at these issues within the study. Narratives, we discussed that already. This combines a sequence of events, usually from interview with a few people. But the narrative is important, you know. So for example, you're studying the market, the coronation market, to see if there's a link between the different family types and the amount of money that they spend in the market. But the market itself has a history. You may want to discuss, when you go to the market, a lady who has been selling in the market for 10 years, 15 years, you may want to discuss with her the history of the market, how does that link to the people who come into the market to purchase, the amount of money they spend. Do you see women who look like they are from a single parent family? Do you know any of them? And what are the challenges that they face between buying Irish potato and sweet potato, between doing this and between doing that? Which one? And so all of this would be part of the narrative. Then we have a long word, but it's not so long. Phenomenology. So we talk about a phenomenological, using different methods to understand the meaning, participant, place, and whatever is being studied. Now, when we speak of a phenomenological study, what exactly are you studying? So you talk about, we spoke about depression. But how do the students themselves see depression? Because what you think is depression for them is not depression. They don't call it depression. So what is the phenomena? How do you define the phenomena relative to how the respondent define the phenomena? And that's why we call it phenomenological study. Grounded theory, here we seek to provide an explanation of theory behind the events in the research. Remember last week, we looked at the use of sociological theories. We use functionalist theory, we use Marxist conflict, we also use gender in terms of feminist theory, and we use interactionist theory. In this period of COVID-19, we are looking at health in terms of the people who are also doing Unit 2, excuse me. So we are looking at health, and we are looking at the interactionist perspective on health. Why? Because, of course, your health, as far as the interactionists are concerned, your health is your own social construction. What do you mean by that? I thought it's what doctors say if you're healthy or not healthy. But you, the doctor, can tell you that you're not healthy, and you say, but doctor, I don't care what you want to say, I'm healthy, and I'm going home. Because it's your social construction. is how you view the issue of health. He said that you say you have a headache, him say him think it's COVID-19. He said, Doc, don't tell me rubbish. Me not no COVID, nothing at all. I'm a healthy person, I just have a headache. In fact, the children them not at school and they're making up noise the entire day. Why I have a headache? Your own social construction. So we use grounded theory. You use a theory to explain the data that you're seeing, the trends that you're seeing. And since it's a sociology SBA, you must use sociological theories. And the last one is case studies. This involves a deep understanding through multiple types of data sources. Can be explanatory, exploratory, which I had explained last week, and can be descriptive. Now, a number of research, we use case studies. Why? It presents, of course, some people said limited because you take 1 or 2 cases and you can teach an entire lesson for about 3 months. But it depends on the type of case studies because they give you detailed information about a particular organization, about a particular concept, or whatever it is, but you get detailed information. So we use case studies a whole lot to understand what's happening with certain phenomena. When you come on to the workplace, in terms of how people behave, like even now, I can bet you, after COVID has passed, what we are going to do now is a number of case studies. What happened when you got the news first? How did the staff react? What type of information were put in place in terms of should some staff stay at home? How you decide who stayed at home? How you decide which one would come to work? What type of distancing rules and so that will be in a case study. So we'll have a plethora of information once we're through. So these are the type of qualitative data analysis: ethnography, narrative, phenomenological, grounded theory, and case studies. As usual, you can send in your questions anytime at all. We will address them when we come again next week. Now, somebody had asked again last time about us going back to the early part of the research to answer some questions that came in. I'm going to go back and show you where I'm talking about. Here, the person had asked about the intended use of the research, basic or fundamental research, because we had them here. We showed this table where we had the purpose of the study, exploratory, descriptive, explanatory. We explained that. We had the intended use of research, we explained that, and the time dimension, we explained what was a cross-sectional study, a longitudinal study, and we did qualitative and quantitative. But people had called in or sent in an email to ask about the intended use of research, basic or fundamental research. So this type of research, filling the knowledge we don't have. We want to find out, like for example, the one that we are using, is there a correlation between the family type and student academic performance? We don't have that information, so we seek to find that information. It could be a basic type of information. Then we have applied research. This is practical research that tries to solve a problem or to answer a question in the real world. So most organizations, you see, would have applied research. Then we have action research, which is more associated with teaching, a type of investigative research designed for use by teachers in an attempt to solve problems and improve professional practices in their own classroom. This is done regularly. Teachers are always engaged in action research, as teachers are continually observing students, collecting data and analyzing to improve student learning and classroom management. So teachers are always being involved in that type of action research. We are hoping that you have gotten a lot from this for your SBA, that you will send in some excellent SBA, and that Jamaica overall will do very well in terms of in sociology. And so that's all there is for CAPE today. Until on SBA, we hope you have grasped some of the points we discussed. You can catch a repeat of today's lesson and JNN today at 4 p.m. and in the Schools Not Out highlights on Saturday between 1 and 4 p.m. right here on TVJ. It also will be on video on demand on One Spot Media. Until next time, I'm Orville Beckford. Looking forward to seeing you again next week, Monday. Have a good day and stay COVID-free.